driving out to Soldotna right now to go meet Jay, and we are gonna go fly out to the Chakachamna River. Fishing was on last night, so we had to go spend some time out in the Kenai, and probably didn't get to bed till about 2 in the morning or so. It was late night, but it was totally worth it, and getting's good. The weather's bluebird and sunny, so we gotta go flying and go kayaking now.
Craziest landscape I've ever seen at the put in of any river in my entire life. The heart of the Alaska range, out in the middle of nowhere, where I want to be. Parker and Jay should be rolling in any minute here.
That flight was absolutely incredible. We just landed here at the Chakachamna Lake. Is it Chakachamna Lake?
That was the Chakachamna.
And then the river is called the Chakachamna.
It's the Chakachamna?
Yeah, they have 2 names.
Oh.
I think it's the Chakachamna Lake and the Chakachamna River. Jay might know, I couldn't tell you. We're up here at this beautiful lake, the divide of the Neocola and Tortola Mountains. It's gorgeous.
So we landed on the lake and then paddled this fun little warm-up gorge, kind of class 3-4, get a little feel for the water. And then camped on the sweet beach on River Right with Mount Spur coming directly out from above the river. Had this beautiful view of the mountain peak and giant glaciers coming down right to the river. Beautiful sunset last night, saw a bear crossing the river, ate some delicious fresh salmon that we just caught out of the Kenai. Put on with a little bit of flat water warm up, and then got right into it with the biggest rapid of the run that I dubbed Cross Your Fingers. And I definitely crossed my fingers and it panned out for the best. You know, it's pretty hard to judge from the air. Everything looks a lot smaller and you only see it for a brief second, but I saw this huge hump on river left that looks like you could potentially boof. So I kind of had that in the back of my mind, dreaming about the rapid last night, and came into the rapid right where I wanted to be, and then just before the boof got pushed a little bit farther left than I wanted. Just like so powerful, and of course way bigger than it looks when you're in your boat than checking out from shore. I just missed the main part of the boof where I wanted to launch off, but ended up just going a little bit left of the hump and going pretty deep, but did like an underwater kickflip and then snappy roll, and then right into the end of the first main rapid. Eddied out there, and then we regrouped and peeled out for what felt like probably a 5 or 6 mile long, super continuous, huge wave trains and holes everywhere, class 5 rapid. It was one of the best rapids I've ever run in my life. It's pretty amazing that this river hasn't really been discovered or paddled more. As far as I know, there's only been a few people in the last decade who've done it, and Jay Mahan definitely has the handful of those descents. This was his 5th time down, so his last 4 were all on his own between his busy work life of flying bush planes around.
Woo! It's one of the things, if you could do it enough and you knew the lines, you could run some huge waves.
Yeah, you can gut a lot of that right down the middle.
There's not too many big lake systems like this that are draining out a bunch of water that lose any gradient at all. So it's really nice to find something with so much water that actually has good rapids and that's so close to home. I definitely think of it as my little backyard gym.
Once you spend a lot of time up here, it's kind of easy to just get used to the wild, no people around, amazing adventures around every corner, over every hillside. And then you go to somewhere like the Chakachamna and your mind is just blown again like the first time you come to Alaska. It's just, there's no words to describe it or pictures to even grasp close to what this place is like. So we also really wanted to go back to the Chakachamna to break down the rapids and really figure out the run so that we could offer some better beta. So going back with 4 people was pretty ideal. This trip is the epitome of everything that I love about Alaska and that I love about kayaking and exploration and history. This river has been discussed a lot in the Alaskan paddling community, especially because of the write-up in Andrew Embeck's guidebook to Whitewater of Alaska, where it says that the Chakachamna is absolutely unrunnable, probably because they just went in at way too high of flows and didn't like what they saw. So they ended up portaging at least 5 or 6 miles through alders, and then in classic Embeck fashion, he decided that they were going to try and paddle across Cook Inlet instead of taking a plane or boat across. Cook Inlet has some of the biggest tidal exchanges in the world, up to 30 feet during the peak, which is right when we happen to be going. So our goal is to follow in these guys' footsteps and run the whitewater that they weren't able to back in the day, at least a decade ago. And then also try the paddle across Cook Inlet because we know it's possible and we wanted to see it for ourselves so we could save a little bit of money.
High side of high. I think it'll be good.
It's kind of like when you're a kid looking at a drainage ditch, like wishing you could be the size of an ant and run some shit. It's kind of like that.
I don't usually see trees 3-4 feet underwater at the foot end. Generally an indication that it might be high.
Well, I was on shore in the first rapid, and like looking out in the river, there's this dead fish just floating down, and it hits this wave and just launches like 4 feet into the air, just limp. And then I look over and there's a fish just drowning in a sieve, and I was trying to save it and pull it out, but it was stuck in there pretty good. I tried super hard to save its life, you know, but you know, when there's a fish drowning out there, you know, it's pretty full on, you know.
We saw so many bears out there, I lost count. Some really sweet close encounters with some grizzly bears. We saw one bear that was just feasting on this salmon and rolled up on him, and he didn't see us at the very last minute. Booked it. Salmon still alive, just flopping on the ground. It was wild.
Oh yeah, I wasn't terrified, but I was definitely off the sofa and kind of scared, you know. But once we ran that stout section that, you know, we thought was a little chiller, but it wasn't really that chill.
Just got to the mouth of the MacArthur, and took us a couple more hours than we thought to get here, but kind of what I expected. Pretty daunting.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned. I think we're like a little behind schedule. Maybe our timing isn't the best right now. It's also a little daunting that we can't even see where we're trying to go. To be honest, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about this right now.
I've definitely been in smaller inlets with way smaller tide ranges, and I've definitely gotten sucked out to sea.
Sweet, that's
wise
smart.
words.
Day number 4 on our Chaka trip. Just had a beautiful night's sleep on the beach here. It rained a little bit last night, but we were praying that the weather would shape up for a good crossing today. And we have absolutely beautiful seas, so barely any waves. And we're starting right now about an hour and a half before the peak of high tide. So we're gonna paddle out in the flood, hopefully get sucked out towards Anchorage a little bit, and then have about 2 hours of slack tide, and then hopefully get sucked for the last like 2 to 3 hours of the trip back towards Nikiski. If we overshoot Nikiski, then hopefully land in Kenai. That's the plan. We'll see what actually happens.
Crazy how fast this thing.
Ready?
So here's the route we ended up taking. You can see where we came out the mouth of the MacArthur River right there. Then it took us about 4 hours that evening to paddle down to where we camped. And then we left about 2 hours before the peak flood and made some progress out. There's basically this huge eddy right here as the water is pushing in. So we made some good progress, and then as soon as we hit the main flood tide, we were just shooting down the inlet past where we started when we came out the MacArthur. And then during slack, we made a couple of good hours of progress across. Thought we were getting really close, and then hit the ebb tide as it was starting to pick up, and basically had to ferry across for the last hour and a half or two right to this point, and just barely made it. Got to the point, paddled another mile down the shore to where my truck was parked, but it's no longer there. Turns out it was stolen while we were gone. But they ended up finding it a bit later, and the crossing panned out. I'm glad we tried it and know that it's possible under the perfect circumstances, which we were fortunate enough to have. Overall, great trip. Definitely one of my very favorite rivers in Alaska, and a classic that is bound to be run more and more again in the future.